Hello and welcome back to Electric Drive Africa. Thank you for joining us again. And special thank you to all of you who've been following from the beginning and been following the episodes. Please tell all your friends and family to like, share, and subscribe, and also to join us on this journey as we try and promote and send the message of electric vehicles and the transition to clean energy for electromobility. So we've got a couple of questions that have been coming through from the viewers, and we'd like to just answer some of them today, and also going forward start to incorporate some of these views from you, the viewers, as we try to push the message across that now is the time to really accelerate the adoption of electromobility in Africa, because most African countries, they import petrol and diesel, and if we just move to electric vehicles, we then start cutting back on how much petrol and diesel we import. We accelerate our journey towards energy independence, and most countries have a decent electric network and decent availability of electricity, so that could give us a really good platform to be energy independent. So let's look at some of the questions that have come through from you, and thank you again, and please keep them coming and share your suggestions and everything else that you think will be helping us really catalyze the movement of transitioning to electromobility. So one of the questions we got was like, how proven is this technology right now of electric vehicles? So if you look at it, since about 2008, maybe, if we start talking about the latest generation of electric vehicles, about 5 million vehicles have actually been sold worldwide up until the end of last year. So it's not really a technology in pilot phase. It's actually proven, and it's almost getting to a mainstream adoption. And the tipping point is nigh, and very soon we will start seeing more and more electric vehicles on our roads. We do see some already on our roads in Africa, in Zimbabwe, in South Africa, in Kenya, and other places as well, like Zambia. So the tipping point is close, and we'll start to see more and more of them on the roads. And for example, in one of the most advanced markets for electric cars in Norway, 30% of all brand new cars sold are electric. So other countries will follow suit. Hopefully some governments will support with some incentives and things like that, a cutback on import taxes of electric vehicles and things like that, and then we will really get going on this. So it's not really tech that's in trial phase or anything like that. It's really proven tech that's good to go. And we did an episode a while ago about how the type, giving an example of a few electric cars that you can bring into Africa right now from the original source markets that we usually have for cars in Africa. That's Japan and England if you're in East and Southern Africa. Yeah, so it's not really a trial thing anymore. It's really going mainstream now. Yeah. The other question we got was from David, and he's asking, how fast can these cars go? So this new generation of electric cars actually travel quite fast. So for example, your typical Nissan Leaf or your Chevy Bolt, they can go as fast as 140 kilometers per hour. And your more premium brands like the Tesla Model S's, they can go as fast as 250 kilometers per hour. In terms of power, the new Nissan Leaf is putting out about 200 horses and about 160 kilowatts. And the more premium versions like the Teslas, the Tesla Model S is the premium versions. You can go up to 600 horsepower and about 585 kilowatts. So they are really powerful vehicles, and they're not really glorified golf carts as some people used to look at in the past. They are really proven and nippy vehicles to get about, and very highly capable. So depending on your budget and your price range, you can get a car that can travel now about 500 kilometers, but the majority are now on about 150 to 200 kilometers, so which is a decent range for a daily commute and also to your neighboring town. And on that as well, that was David's other question: how far can these cars go? So there was a study recently that found out that the average range of electric cars coming out now is about 200 kilometers. So they are good for your daily commute and also for road trips, depending on the availability of charging networks, and also how well you plan your journey as well. And for example, in China, they have incentive program of promoting electric vehicles. They have now been shifting the goalpost to swing the incentives towards higher range vehicles, to try and promote manufacturers to also make higher range vehicles. So these are very, very highway capable cars these days, and you can rest assured that range is not really a big issue for your daily work commute. And also, if you want to travel to another town, it's just a bit of planning, but it's quite feasible to go on a trip with these cars. And last year, someone actually did a road trip in a 30 kilowatt hour Nissan Leaf right across Africa to prove that you do have your standard sockets everywhere and you can use those to get around. It might take you a while, but with proper planning, it's quite feasible. So they are ready for adoption in Africa, and we should really look towards adopting electric vehicles. The other question we got was from Terry S, and she's asking, are there any electric cars available that are sort of like similar to popular brands that are brought into Africa? For example, your Range Rovers and things like that. Well, in the early days, some of the electric cars, like the first version of the Nissan Leaf, was a bit interesting in terms of design. It wasn't looking like your conventional vehicles. Some people weren't really happy with the design and the appearance, or even the BMW i3. But we are getting more and more vehicles now that are actually sort of like maybe sharing the same platform with their internal combustion versions. For example, the Hyundai Ioniq comes in 3 platforms. It looks exactly the same as the petrol version and also the hybrid version. So the electric version also looks exactly like that. So it's more friendly on the eye, as it were. Also, the Range Rover actually has a plug-in hybrid now that's coming out. And also, if you look at the Jaguar Land Rover family as well, the I-Pace has come out. It's launching in South Africa next quarter as well. It's not so far away in terms of aesthetics as your Jaguar E-Pace. And also the VW Golf, the e-Golf is the electric version, and the very, very famous GTI version is very popular in Southern Africa, especially in South Africa. There's actually a hybrid version, a plug-in hybrid version that is called the Golf GTE. So there are vehicles that are now more friendly on the eye, and they don't look too futuristic or look a bit strange compared to their conventional internal engine counterparts. And also there are a number of vehicles that are coming out now this year as well that are closer to your typical popular brands. For example, the Audi e-tron is not so far off from the Q7 or the Q5. Also, the Mercedes-Benz EQC looks close to a conventional Mercedes-Benz SUV. It's not really a futuristic spaceship type design. So that should also help adoption, and also because of some of the common parts might be similar. For example, some replacement parts on the bodywork and things like that will be close to the equivalent internal combustion versions. So that will actually help also in terms of maintenance and servicing and things like that. The other question we got was from Garnet, who's asking about public charging. What is happening in Africa with public charging? So, for example, in South Africa and Kenya, there are some public charging networks that are becoming more and more widely available. In South Africa, Jaguar have just launched what they're calling the Powerway. So they've put a charging network on the main highway. So you can charge on your way from Johannesburg to Durban, and also from your way from Johannesburg to Cape Town. And also most dealerships have charging stations outside their dealerships, so Nissan, BMW, and Jaguar as well. And there's also some charging stations in malls, like some of the big malls, Menlyn Mall, Brooklyn Mall, and Pretoria. They also have charging bays there, so you can shop and charge. So it is coming along quite nicely. And there also are some apps now, like where you can actually look where charging stations are. Also in Kenya, Nopia Ride, we featured them a while ago. The taxi company are also having charging networks at Two Rivers Mall, at the Hub, and I think they are opening a third location at the Thika Road Mall. So this is all good for the future, where we'll have more and more charging stations available for the public. The other question we got was from Seto, and he's asking, what does the maintenance look like for electric cars compared to normal cars? Well, normal cars, internal combustion engines, have tens of thousands of moving parts, and that's just a recipe for always having to fix something that's going to be bound to break anytime soon. You have timing belts, you have all those moving parts, all those shafts and everything like that. Whereas in electric vehicles, you don't really have that many parts, so there's less that could go wrong. And so the service is actually quite simpler, and also if you look at your total cost of ownership in terms of maintenance and also your fueling cost, it's actually cheaper to run and maintain an electric vehicle. And also there was a study that came out recently that we're not so far off from a point where if you were to buy an electric vehicle, it will probably cost you the same price as buying a diesel equivalent. That's about 3-4 years away, they say that point is. Right now, the electric versions are slightly more pricey, but over the total cost of ownership, they are much, much more friendly on your pocket. So yeah, so those are some of the questions that we've got recently. Please keep them coming, and if you have any other questions as well, we are happy to answer them and also share with you some other thoughts and insights of where we think Africa should be going when it comes to electric vehicle. Thank you very much for watching, and also, as we said before, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And also remember to drive electric.